ownership, creating something that's truly yours.
Taking ownership of your life, really be more at the driver's seat. Experience, it captures more about what we are doing.
Allocate that time wisely to where you want to be, with whom you want to spend those quality time with, and how you want to spend it. Hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Henri and Mike. Today we're recording our episode 14. Where are we right now, Michael?
We are actually at Katong in the eastern part of Singapore. This specific place that we are at is actually at Joo Chiat, and this cafe we are at is called Joo Chiat Caphe. It's a Vietnamese cafe
house.
They serve Banh Mi, they serve some of the otahs, and then they serve some of the Vietnamese coffee.
Is it your first time here as well?
It's my first time, but this place is pretty popular. You know, on Instagram, on like Facebook, quite a lot of people have commented about this place. They are famous for their banh mi. So if you're around the area, do come by and have a cup of coffee, Vietnamese style, as well as banh mi.
The banh mi here is really amazing because we had two, right? So you had the otah, the one with meat. What's it made of, otah?
Fish.
And then I had a vegetarian version. So I just kind of like asked the boss whether it's possible to make me a vegetarian. He said, that's fine. So he just bought all the chicken, pork floss, and another, I think ham or something. He took it out. So I'm just having like literally vegetarian. And it was really good because, as I said, the Vietnamese baguette is really crispy. So I think they kind of toasted it before. And then you have different layers of ingredients inside, just amazing. Welcome to Singapore. So this is another part of Singapore on the eastern part that's very historical. To some extent, it's very near to the East Coast Park, right?
Yeah, so this place I was saying is at Joo Chiat. The specific road is Koon Seng Road.
Koon Seng Road, yeah.
Yes, this place is famous for Peranakan cultures and Peranakan houses. Peranakan basically is straight Chinese.
Okay.
That means those Chinese, in the olden days, they came from China. And then they married to...
the locals.
Yeah, the indigenous. So probably Malay, yes.
Yeah.
So then they created this special culture called Peranakan. Yeah. So the female will be called Nonya, and then the male will be called Baba.
So
Nonya.
we look at, like, for instance, Singapore Airlines, SIA, the ladies.
Yeah. So they wear a kabaya.
Yeah.
Their uniform is kabaya.
Their kind of reflect the Peranakan culture, right?
Exactly.
When you come to Singapore, a lot of people like to come visit this street. It's called
Koon Seng Road.
Yeah. And they have really beautiful houses, like very historic one. And then when you look at the facade, it's really, really colorful. So it's a whole mix of British, Dutch, Peranakan, Chinese, and Malay.
Yes.
So you get to see different little details. You know, like for most of the Western audience. So if you go to places like Spain or Portugal especially, you have those kind of very specific azulejos kind of tile, like white and blue.
Yes.
So we have the version of that here as well in Southeast Asia, like in Singapore. They call it Peranakan tiles. It's a bit more colorful, not only restricted to blue and white in color, but they have like pink, green. So it kind of reflected more of the tropical color that you can imagine of.
More vibrant, I would say.
Yes. So a lot of people like to come to this part. It's quieter, even though nowadays it's kind of changing a little bit, like become a hipster's place. So you have this kind of like Vietnamese cafe over here, or you have some boutique stores around, or some selling certain truly Singaporean kind of products, you know, like a Singlish dictionary, certain bookstores. Not to mention like the food itself, it's just a reflection of the whole Singaporean culture. So how's the week going?
So far, so good. Met up with another few friends for lunch and dinner the last few days. So that went well. And then some of my friends are sharing with me that as they are going through the life, some are going to start a family, some already have kids, already have family, and they are, other than looking inward, they are more specifically looking at they themselves, like how they are going to continue to pursue personal growth and learning new things. Yeah, so I just had lunch just now with a friend, and then he was sharing with me that he had invested a lot of funds into his own personal development and education over the last 2 years, specifically during the pandemic. As an outcome of that, he has been trying to find ways to strategize, to see how he can share his experiences with the wider audience, like people around, so that he can bring values to them, like share his career knowledge or some of the investment stuff that he has been doing. He has been thinking about that lately.
So the 2 points here I would like to ask. I mean, there's a good story there that you exchange with friends of yours they have not seen for a while.
Yeah.
But what do you mean by personal growth? And then also, why is it so important that most of the people are seeking of this personal growth, And second question is, why do you feel the need to give more values to give back to the society? What are the intention behind? Why do you want to do that? Or why does he want to do that?
I think if I really generalize, the main thing it's about, as an adult, you have commitments, right? So after you graduate from school, you go for a few career moves, a few roles. Then you will start to realize that, okay, there's a path that people usually take.
Yeah.
Like I have my first job, second job, then after that, I meet my partner, then I get married, and then I have kids. So this is more predictable in a sense. So when you enter all this kind of thing, there's a lot of commitments. So imagine you have a plate, you start to stuff your plates with different commitments that you have. But more often than not, the common theme that I see in people around, people who are in their 30s, is that as they commit to start a family, the time they choose or they can afford to grow themselves personally as compared to when they're in 20s or in their 10s start to decrease. So I guess there's some form of motivation that they want to feel that they're continuing to learn, to make sense of the world, learning continuously, not just stop after you finish your tertiary education or even professional-wise.
Okay, then let me bring it to another. You have not really answered the question, but why to learn? Why to continue to learn? What satisfaction does it bring?
The very obvious thing is, you want to find ways other than your main active income is to find other streams of revenues to improve your life. So it's about money. So that's number one. Number two, on a more personal level, I feel that it's more about finding out about the things that's around you. For example, if I study accountancy, as my tertiary education, and then somehow I go on to become an accountant or tax person. So that's my professional role. But because you dedicate so much time into this, you continuously optimize and fine-tune your craft in this career sense, professional sense. But how about the other aspects of things that you used to engage, for instance, maybe sports, maybe something creative like music or literature, whatever else. Because of the time that you invest in your career, you have lesser time to go into that, but you actually enjoy and get a lot of satisfaction out of that when you are younger, maybe. So it's really a way to find a balance to bring what you really like and enjoy onto the plate as in life, in terms of time, what you have. So I think some of the people that I talk to, they are experiencing that.
So you recognize to some extent because what they have been doing, be it due to the commitments they have, be it like a family, be it like a job commitments or like life itself, they want to explore the other possibilities. And using learning and constant improvement, it gives them that satisfaction in two folds. Not only do they create something of the ownership for themselves, and that will eventually lead to like a passive income because they want to increase more of their income resources. In that case, when you increase those income resources, you basically have achieved two things. One is to diversify what you have. So even if today you got laid off because of whichever macroeconomic situation like COVID, then you have other things that's still running. And second thing is not only diversification, but giving more choices. When you have more resources, like financial resources, it helps you to build a certain lifestyle that you wish for, perhaps buying back of your time. So that's one of it. And then that's the ownership part you're talking about. But when we go deeper, there's a word that is people, the intention behind, is the experience itself. Due to the commitments that they have, they're not really possible for them to squeeze out more time to do other stuff. So by doing things online, for instance, or diversifying their portfolio, it gives them space and time especially, or even resources in terms of financial side to experience more of life. And ultimately, what they're really looking for is the ownership. Not only the ownership of your time, but also how you want to spend that time and with whom. So those are the intention that coming back down to. Otherwise, why do people actually spend so much money to constantly improve themselves? If you're already happy with what you have, like your active income source, like be an accountant, be a lawyer, be a financial analyst, why do you still seek constant improvement?
Okay.
So in my eyes, it's diversification and buying back those time to improve and expand of your horizon, to gain those experiences in life that you can still carry on with your commitment, but at the same time, buying times for yourself.
Okay. Fair point. There's one thing that suddenly I remember is about Maslow hierarchy of needs. At a fundamental level, it's really about survival, right? As you reach up further to the top, there's a lot of self-actualization that comes in. So I think what we have just discussed about why people want to continue to learn is while you're on the journey to get your survival part taken care of, there will be more things that you want to explore, like satisfaction, self-actualization, who you are as a person. So I think that mental model, probably can explain why some of the people that I've been talking to Why do they behave in such a manner?
The audience out there, when you're listening to this from the podcast or watching us on YouTube, what do you think? Why do you invest on yourself to constantly seek for that internal growth? What are your reasons? Write down in the comments and let us know. We'll be very intrigued to find out. Or maybe you disapprove like what we just say. It'll be interesting to know your arguments as well.
What is your thought about that though? Like, what do you think that Henri and Mike potentially can go?
It just flashed across my mind. There are two words that I found for our episode.
Henri and Mike?
No, I'll tell you later at the end.
Okay, sure.
So I think how it's going to evolve, my perspective is at some point, I'll be going back to Europe. I want to bring on board that perspective. And also, if I can film outdoor, I want to share that more. What Mike and I were doing right now is we go to different places in Singapore right now, and we film in front of those iconic buildings, historic buildings, or certain
landmarks, basically.
Yeah. So we kind of show different areas of Singapore whereby as a tourist, you don't necessarily see that. Yeah, I think that's also a very good way of presenting the culture, the soft skill side, like, hey, this is what Singapore is actually like. Yeah, it's very different from what the marketing and the branding is all about. To some extent, it's true, but also you have to see more, like dig deeper. So I think at some point I'll go back to Europe and I want to share that part. We can still do the distance recording, which I've tried before, which it works.
Like when you're in Bali and then we basically catch up. I think that's definitely leveraging on technology to continue our venture here.
So I think for our channel right now, for this podcast, a lot of things actually deal with our 30s, how we navigate our 30s. So a lot of them deal with our lifestyle and also the life topics that we encounter. It's basically a lot of things under the sun. But maybe in some episode we try to be specific and focus on two words, so we kind of revolve around the idea. No one knows what the future will hold, right? I mean, it's so hard to plan nowadays because changes happen so quickly. But I think as soon as it is consistent, like we put out one video a week out there, or one podcast out there, I think it's good because that's how we keep this whole Henri and Mike going, like to document our life in that sense, you see.
Be accountable to our own life, basically, right?
I was reading, so there's this guy called Conor Whitemeyer. I think it's American pronunciation, but in German it's called Conor Whitemeyer.
Okay.
Meyer.
What about him?
So I encountered him through his YouTube channel called American in Germany. And then he went on to take like Ship 30 Ship, that writing course program. So he kind of pivoted his own YouTube channel to more writing nowadays. So I like his newsletter. So he was sharing things like, how he get engaged with all these different types of internet opportunities, like in terms of writing, producing videos and writing script, how he actually increased his own skill set and potential to put himself out there. And what he says is that to be successful, inverted comma here, he defined it as the focus and consistency, these 2 points. And that's very similar to what Ali Abdal has been preaching, has been telling us all the time, or sharing with us all the time. Like, whatever you do, niche it down to a topic. And second point is that whatever you do, at least put out a video per week. And then it's a cumulative compounding effect, just like your investment as well. At some point, it will come back to you in 2 or 3 years' time. So people who actually reach that followers or the kind of base, they usually take about 3 to 4 years with consistency to get there. So those is the amount of time that you need to reach there. And once they reach there, it gives them a lot of opportunity to really choose what kind of collaboration they want to do, and also bring them closer to like-minded people who believe in this creative economy. I think that's a very good opportunity. And also, really, you learn a lot of skill. Ever since I started to do this YouTube channel or different social media platform, it's really learning by doing. A lot of things I still don't know, but through each week's work, I get to understand more and more and just keep trying. So for my challenge is actually a lot of time is also the focus part. I will have to really be focused on what videos I want to do. In the sense, I got 3 channels now, which most of the YouTubers say, oh no, this is not the right way. You need to just focus on one because you're allocating your time to different resources, which is true because when you look at my Just Henri or German with Henri, I have not been publishing for the last 3 weeks, which I don't feel right about it. But on the other hand, that 3 weeks was utilized to build out the system for Henri and Mike. So at least we have an editor there right now who knows the style, and also in terms of script writing, in terms of B-rolls taking, in terms of stock footages, in terms of marketing, thumbnail creation or title. We have a certain system over there, but it takes time to get everything done. One thing for me is very important is that whenever we finish filming, I need to organize everything properly, like into the folders. So we keep this system going, and that's part of the consistency. Otherwise, you have a lot of data that's being accumulated, but you never get out of it. And I also think that's one of our challenges as Henri and Mike, because of that, we argue quite a lot on the systems.
I concur with some of the things you mentioned because I'm new to this as well. There's a lot of learnings along the way. I used to be in like a photography club when I was younger. So some basic ideas of filming and photography, I do understand that. And of course, as our generation, we do use a fair share of technology as well, especially on social media. But to really go in depth, that's something that I've not done before. So over the last couple of episodes that we have been doing, there's a lot of learnings. It's always good that we are bouncing ideas off each other. Challenges, I think if that's your own channel, you have a lot of say and you have a lot of decision that you can make yourself. But because it's Henri and Mike, so there are ideas that I like, but Henri does not. And then we'll need to sort out the differences. Essentially, it's the communication part that we always try to work out the differences in ideas. So that's one challenge, because communicating is not always easy because different people have different ideas and what they believe in. So we need to find a common ground. So that's definitely one challenge we have. Some of the ways that the creative process is like, I think that's also different as well. We are in the midst of like doing trial and error to try out the different type of workflow. There were a lot of discussion and disagreement about some of the process here, but ultimately we kind of sort it out always. So these are some of the challenges that currently I'm facing.
So where do you think our channel will be going? How would you see Henri and Mike evolve?
I see a lot of potential, like what we can go into. I think this is probably going to be a good platform. Like we can venture out a little bit more. As we are going through 30s, we definitely have friends and those audiences, second degree, third degree audience, that also going through their 30s. Mm-hmm. So it'd be cool to get some ideas how they are doing in their 30s as well. Rather than it's always from our perspective looking out.
Maybe you can interview some people.
Yeah. Interview and collaborate how people are really exploring their 30s, well, some of the learning points, some of the wisdom that they have gained that will help each other along the way. Yeah, so I feel that might be a general direction.
I also want to ask the audience what kind of topics they might be interested to listen to. Mm-hmm. Especially for those who are in their 30s, or those who already past their 30s, who are in their 40s and 50s or 60s or even 70s, 80s, whatever age you are. But when you're looking back, what are the topics that you think is important? Mm-hmm. Because in YouTube, there's quite a lot of people that have this kind of film or this kind of video. They say, they're like in their 60s or 70s, look back, their life in their 30s, and there's certain things they say to themselves. Say, I wish that I was more brave to take on that venture that I always think I want to do. Anyways, do you have the words for this week? I thought of these two words called ownership and experience. Ownership in the sense that because of the constant growth that we're seeking, we want to buy back more time and use those time to do something else, right? To have a different lifestyle that we wish for. And that's why we're constantly investing in ourselves to learn more things, to improve, to get new skills, so we can use those skills to do things that perhaps we'll like it more than what we're currently doing. Mm-hmm. So that's about ownership. That's creating something that's truly yours. And experience is more like when you are buying more times, that you have it more back to yourself. You get to use that time, allocate that time wisely to where you want to be, with whom you want to spend those quality time with, and how you want to spend it. So that's why I thought it's about ownership and experience, because this truly reflects the conversation we had at the beginning. Mm-hmm. The conversation you had with your friends, talking about Henri and Mike, what's the direction that's going.
I think I have a different take about ownership. It's not so much geared towards internet or creative economy, but it's more like taking ownership of your life. Really be more at the driver's seat of how you want to make certain decisions in life. It can be, working for a corporate, or, I want to start a family, or it can be even like pursuing some of the more personal development things that you want to engage, like maybe creative aspect of things, or something that you have always wanted to do. So I see ownership from that perspective.
So what's the word then?
Ownership, I think, is good. And then experience, it captures more about what we are doing and what we have been doing as well.
With that, we come to a conclusion of this episode 14, ownership and experience. Thank you very much for spending time to listen and to watch Henri and Mike. This is Henri.
And this is Mike.
And we shall see you in the very next episode. So take care of yourself, be kind to each other, and don't forget to smile. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.